always disliked Ethan Klein, but
Oh
don't
my
know a
God,
ton about him. So you sent me this, and I said, yeah, give me... I didn't feel like doing anything by the time you sent it to me. So I was like, give me whatever background information you have, and we'll talk about this, because Ethan Klein is such a hateable guy. We talked about him a few months ago when he was going at Andrew Schultz. And my biggest problem with him, I'm sure a lot of people don't like his politics or whatever. I don't really give a shit about that. My problem with him is more the weasel nature he goes about it, where he likes certain people or it dislikes certain people and then will flip on them when the timing is right. You know, like the way he did with the Nelk Boys, where he shit all over them. Then he has the Nelk Boys on and goes, I didn't really hate you. I hated Andrew Schultz. Will you shit on Andrew Schultz with me?
Yeah.
And so, like, he's just a slimy weasel about it. And also, he goes on these tangents that he doesn't back up at all. Like, he goes after Rogan and guys like that. But then he'll have Tom Segura on his podcast and be buddy-buddy with him and never bring up anything about Rogan. So I think he's a complete weasel. But let's see what he's up to lately. So he's reporting people on YouTube?
Yeah, so he's come out of the retirement, semi-retirement, and it's turned into like a mini Red Bar in his community. He wants to like...
oh, really?
So he's going after bigger streamers. So what you just described, he's doing with like Hassan Piker, a guy he brought to everyone. He's now turned on him and he's calling him a terrorist supporter. And there's all this sort of political nonsense. Who cares about?
So he's kind of been broken by Trump, basically, right?
Well, broken by politics and just because he jumps on different sides of things. Sometimes he's super liberal. Sometimes he's like a hardcore Israeli supporter. So that's the only thing he cares. And his wife, oh my God, you need to do a whole thing on her. She was best friends with that lady that you and Carl cover, Trisha Paytas, on Who Are These Socials. So she is a whole piece of work, kind of like a Hilaria Baldwin, but like times 10. So put her on your radar.
Sure. So my thing with the H3 podcast, like neither of them seem particularly likable.
No.
Every time I check them out, they just seem so dreadfully boring that I can't. Like we were just talking about Brendan Schaub. Schaub is like dumb in an entertaining way, in my opinion. The H3 podcast is hard for me to get through. They just seem so. I'm stunned at how successful they are. And again, I don't watch a lot, so maybe there's more to it that I just don't get. I'm sure there's a reason people like them, but it seems dreadfully boring. Like they both seem so monotone and void of anything interesting. But then when I see Ethan Klein on Twitter, he's making these wild, like he's just going at people and being so nasty in such a tone that he doesn't seem to have on the podcast.
And so what we're watching here is there was a show called Do Not Worry Podcast, and they basically shit on him, kind of like we're kind of doing right now.
Okay.
And he basically, him and his wife are now scrubbing through all the shows, looking for anything they can report, and they go live and they show us how they do.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. By the way, all the people that shit on like Us or shows like Red Bar or any Carl, any shows like that make fun of other shows. I'll tell you what we don't do is this. We don't try and get people's fucking livelihoods taken away the way Ethan Klein apparently is.
And just one more thing of context, because the video was taken down in this video, the authors of this video at Do Not Worry Podcast said they didn't say anything at all about terrorism or Israel or any of that. They just made fun of Ethan Klein. So keep that in mind when you're watching.
Oh, that is like terrorism. That's a lot like, yeah.
Yes, that's why this clip is amazing. Here we go.
I apologize to...
You're hearing his man wife there.
Do you see what I mean? In the first three... painfully boring. Like, that is a voice that'll put you to sleep.
I apologize to Bertilicious Do Not Worry number 130 on YouTube.
I am proudly reporting this guy for, let's see, promotes terrorism.
Roll the dice. What can I choose?
Terrorism? Kind of. I don't know if that's
kind of terrorism.
The most accurate. Does promote terrorism.
Inciting hate.
Violent.
I remember I was very young, but I remember on 9/11 I was like, is this terrorism? They said I would know it when I saw it, but I can't decide.
Yeah, disagreeing with him politically is terrorism.
I think terrorism is it's like pornography. You know it when you see it. You know, you don't have to have this long debate. Was that terrorism? Was the guy in New Orleans terrorism? I can't decide.
God, this just reeks of Stut Joe, man. Like they all have meetings or something, because this is rare. The same thing.
This is pretty rare though. You don't see a guy of Ethan's success. No. Like the H3 podcast, whatever you think about it, they're very successful, right?
Yes.
So you don't see a guy of that magnitude resorting to this.
Yeah, a clearly false reporting live. Like it's not even debatable.
Yes.
Hateful or abusive?
Yeah.
I feel like it's even worse than that.
Hateful.
It's worse than
I guess I'll
hateful.
do
Can
that.
you choose
It's like
all
he's
of the
adding
above?
toppings to an ice
Mother-
cream sundae. Ah. Do I want peanut butter and chocolate?
A little disinformation on the side. Yeah,
It's hate or violence. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
that's perfect.
I'm helping clean YouTube up.
Yeah, yes.
Enjoy. Right here, exactly. Should I write something?
I think you have to.
How
How about saying something? You're on a fucking podcast.
What the fuck is wrong with this guy in his hands? I don't. You can't see the Mike.
Should I write
he's
something?
like, God damn, this guy's a weirdo, man. Just a weirdo.
Watch the following minute from this timestamp.
They were mean to me.
I like that he's writing a
very-
bio for this segment to YouTube. Watch the following minute.
You might have
It
seen me in
contains-
such.
It contains laughs and violent acts, which is why we can't decide if it's terrorism or not.
encouraging and cheering on violence against civilians and supporting acts of terror.
Just using all the buzzwords, you know.
Supporting acts. I have to do this when the Tonight Show claims a video that I use on Why You Laugh. He's doing the same thing. He's like, "No, this is transformative content. We're using the terrorism in a fun way. It's newsworthy.
Really shutting down debate over here, Ethan Klein. God damn it.
This terrorism was done in a documentary style.
We only use portion of the terrorism in our total.
No one can confuse this with the original terrorism."
Yes, it's for a different terrorist audience, and so
Nice. Ethan, do you know what the damage you just did to the people of Gaza by reporting him? Do you have any idea how far back you've sent our movement?
he's Mike Daviding out right here.
Do you
Mike
know
David,
he's
I haven't listened to Red Bar in a while, but I remember Mike David making me laugh and throwing
Oh yeah,
in a few witticisms.
he didn't just like tweak his wrist around and look at his hand for 30 seconds. Oh,
Who is he?
David.
What is the commenting he's doing? Is he being like us watching it, criticizing him? Where he's like, "Oh, you guys think
yes.
you probably think I'm
No.
crazy."
Yeah, no, he's the other side is criticizing.
Right.
Oh, they're gonna say that I'm shutting down speech because they don't agree with me, but they're just terrorists.
They're
You
gonna
can't
think I'm
agree-
doing exactly what they're watching me do.
Yes, and say and film and put on the air.
considering going to Gaza before you reported him?
Just so happy about that reporting that I thought when I saw that I'm like, that's down Mike's lane because that's a
Yeah.
stunt show.
And I do hate Ethan Klein. So if people have more, he's doing this like full time now? Has he changed the format of his podcast?
Well, as you said, I ain't watching the full podcast, but it
Yeah.
is. So he did what they called a nuclear attack on Hassan Piker, which was, for all intents and purposes, a Mike David production, a Red Bar production, but with no comedy. But it was like I'm taking him down, and then like that video has been just disproven immediately. So he's sort of in a crazy space, but very litigious. And I think we all streamers sort of weirdly owe him a thank you because he sort of set the landmark case in 2016 for fair use that helps us say things on this thing and show videos on this thing. So it's weird that he's regressed back to
Ethan Klein
mocking
did.
people. Yeah. Ethan Klein was involved in a lawsuit where someone sued him over sort of like the same sort of stuff Stuttering John sues people over, and he's now trying to sue people over, and he won.
That's what's weird about this guy is there are videos where I was like, maybe he's not so bad back in the day, but it seems like his brain has melted a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, how can you think this is good for everyone? I remember the famous pizza shop analogy where Kevin Brennan was like rooting for channels to go down. And he's like, "Hey, if you open a pizza shop across from mine, I want your pizza shop to burn down," or whatever the fuck he said.
Yes.
And I was like, no. You're actively burning down the other pizza shops. And now someone might seek revenge on you. So it's amazing a guy of Ethan, like Kevin Brennan's just an idiot who doesn't get that stuff. A guy of Ethan Klein's level of success you'd think would have an understanding about that. So I'm glad he's humiliating himself like this. And I look forward to looking at more. So if you guys know more about Ethan Klein, like I said,
Mhm.
he exhausts me too much to really do a deep dive. I can do, if Stuttering John goes live for 3 hours, I can find clips of that standing on my head. It's a breeze. Finding clips like that of Ethan Klein are just so arduous where I have to listen to the whole show. So if you guys have any examples like that, let me know, and maybe we'll talk about Ethan Klein and his obvious meltdown going forward.
Go to blindmike.net for everything Blind Mike. Look at me. I did it. Kragers did it.